My entitled parents demand I give up on my dreams and become my sister's nanny. I'm writing this from a place of pure catharsis, so please bear with me. Let's dive right into the twisted tale of my entitled parents, their bizarre demands, and how I barely survived their insanity. So, a bit of background: I'm 26F, and I'm the oldest of 3 kids. Growing up, my parents were always a bit on the controlling side. I used to think it was just tough love, but as I got older, I realized it was way more sinister. They were entitled, manipulative, and never, ever took no for an answer. My siblings, 22M and 19F, had it just as bad, but for some reason, I always seemed to be the primary target of their entitlement. This all started a couple of years ago when I had just graduated from college. I had finally landed my dream job in another city, about a 5-hour drive from where my parents lived. I was over the moon. The job paid well, I had a nice apartment lined up, and it was my chance to finally live my life on my own terms. Or so I thought. As soon as I told my parents about my new job and my plans to move, they flipped out. They couldn't understand why I wanted to leave, even though I'd explained it to them a million times. They thought I should stay home and help out with the family, even though both of my siblings were perfectly capable of taking care of themselves. But the worst part was, they seemed to think I owed them something just because they raised me. My mom, Em, and dad, Ed, sat me down for the talk the night before I was supposed to leave. I'll never forget it. Em, you're abandoning us, you know that, right? Ed, after everything we've done for you, you just leave? Who's going to help with your brother and sister? Me. Mom, Dad, I love you, but I need to live my own life. I have a job now, and I need to take it. Em, a job? What about family? We're your family. Ed, we sacrificed so much for you, and this is how you repay us? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was like they had completely forgotten that I was an adult with my own aspirations. But I held my ground. I told them that I appreciated everything they had done for me, but it was time for me to move on. They didn't take it well. Fast forward to a few months later. I was settling into my new job and apartment, loving my newfound independence, when the call started. At first, it was just once a week, then it became daily. They'd call me at all hours, demanding that I come home for this or that. It was always something urgent or important, but it was never anything that couldn't be handled without me. The breaking point came when they called me one night, insisting that I come home immediately because my sister, let's call her Jane, was having a meltdown over a college assignment. Yes, you read that right. A college assignment. I told them that Jane was old enough to handle her own schoolwork, and I couldn't just drop everything and come running every time there was a minor crisis. They didn't take it well. Again. Em, you're being so selfish. Your sister needs you. Ed, you think you're better than us just because you have a job in the city? Me. No, I just think Jane needs to learn to handle her own problems. I can't always be there to fix everything. Em, if you don't come home right now, don't bother coming home for the holidays. That hit me hard. Despite everything, I still wanted to be part of the family. But I knew I couldn't give in to their ridiculous demands. So I stood my ground and said I wouldn't be coming home. They hung up on me. The holidays came and went without a word from my parents. It was tough, but I had my friends, and I was determined to build my own life. Then, just when I thought things had finally calmed down, the next bomb dropped. One day, out of the blue, my parents showed up at my apartment. No warning, no heads up, just a knock on the door, and there they were. I was shocked, to say the least. Me. Mom, Dad, what are you doing here? Em, we need to talk. Ed, it's about Jane. They pushed their way inside before I could say anything else. I didn't know what to do, so I just let them in and sat down, bracing myself for whatever was coming. Em, Jane needs help, and we can't do it alone. Ed, we want you to come home and be her nanny. I stared at them, speechless. They couldn't be serious. But they were. They actually wanted me to quit my job, move back home, and be my sister's nanny. Jane was 19 and in college, for crying out loud. Me. I can't believe you're serious. Jane doesn't need a nanny. She's an adult. Em, she's struggling, and we can't handle it. You need to come home and help her. Ed, we're not asking. We're telling you. That was it. I'd had enough. I stood up and told them they needed to leave. They refused, insisting that I was being selfish and ungrateful. The argument escalated, and I ended up calling the police to have them removed from my apartment. It was humiliating and heartbreaking, but I didn't know what else to do. After that incident, I cut off all contact with my parents. I blocked their numbers and stopped answering their emails. It was painful, but I knew it was the only way I could protect myself from their toxic behavior. Months went by, and I started to feel like I was finally getting my life back on track. Then, one day, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered it. It was my brother, Tom. Tom. Hey, it's Tom. Can we talk? Me. Tom? What's going on? Tom. It's about Mom and Dad. They've gotten worse. He went on to explain that after I cut off contact, my parents had become even more controlling and demanding. They were constantly on his and Jane's case, making their lives a living hell. Tom was at his breaking point and didn't know what to do. Tom, I don't know how much longer I can take this. They're driving us crazy. Me. I'm so sorry, Tom. I wish I could help, but I can't go back there. Tom. I know. I just needed someone to talk to. Jane and I are thinking about leaving, too. We talked for a long time, and I did my best to support him and Jane from a distance. It was heartbreaking to hear what they were going through, but I knew I couldn't go back to that toxic environment. A few more months passed, and then I got another call from Tom. This time, he had some good news. He and Jane had both managed to move out and were living together in an apartment not far from me. They were still dealing with the fallout from our parents, but at least they were out of that house. We started rebuilding our relationships slowly but surely. It wasn't easy, but we were determined to support each other and create a healthier dynamic. Meanwhile, my parents continued to spiral. They tried everything to get us back under their control, from guilt trips to threats, but we held our ground. The final straw came when my parents showed up at my workplace, causing a scene and demanding that I come home. I was mortified, and my boss had to call security to escort them out. I knew then that I needed to take legal action to protect myself from their harassment. With the help of a lawyer, I filed for a restraining order against my parents. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but I knew it was necessary. When the restraining order was granted, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. For the first time in a long time, I felt safe. In the aftermath, I focused on rebuilding my life and my relationships with Tom and Jane. We supported each other through the healing process and slowly started to find peace. It wasn't easy, and there were plenty of ups and downs, but we were determined to break free from the toxic cycle our parents had created. Update 1. It's been a few weeks since I shared my story, and I wanted to give you all an update on what's been happening. First of all, thank you so much for all the support and kind words. It means more than you know. After I got the restraining order, things were quiet for a while. My parents seemed to finally get the message that I wasn't going to be their puppet anymore. Tom and Jane were also doing well, adjusting to their new lives and finding some semblance of normalcy. But then, out of nowhere, my parents found a new way to try and manipulate us. They started spreading rumors around our hometown, telling anyone who would listen that we had abandoned them and that they were the victims. They painted a picture of themselves as loving parents who were just trying to keep their family together, while we were the ungrateful children who had turned our backs on them. At first, I was furious. How dare they try to twist the narrative and make us look like the bad guys? But then I realized that their attempts to smear us were just another desperate ploy to regain control. So, instead of reacting with anger, I decided to take a different approach. I reached out to a few trusted friends and family members back home, people who knew the real story and who had seen firsthand how my parents had treated us. I explained what was happening and asked for their support. To my relief, they were more than willing to stand by us and help set the record straight. We started a quiet but steady campaign to counteract the lies my parents were spreading. It wasn't about stooping to their level or engaging in a public battle. It was about making sure that the truth was out there. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. People started to see through my parents' facade and realize that they were the ones who had been manipulating and controlling us all along. One of the biggest breakthroughs came when a former neighbor, who had moved away years ago, reached out to me. She had heard the rumors and wanted to know what was really going on. After I told her the whole story, she shared her own experiences of witnessing my parents' behavior. She even offered to write a letter in support of us, which we could use if needed. With her letter and the support of our friends and family, we were able to build a solid case against the lies my parents were spreading. It wasn't about legal action this time. It was about reclaiming our narrative and protecting our reputations. And it worked. People started to see my parents for who they really were, and their attempts to control us through manipulation and deceit began to crumble. As for me, Tom, and Jane, we continued to focus on our own healing and growth. We started attending therapy together, which helped us process the trauma of our upbringing and learn healthier ways to communicate and support each other. It wasn't always easy, but we were committed to breaking the cycle of toxicity and creating a better future for ourselves. One of the most rewarding moments came when Jane, who had struggled the most with our parents' control, finally started to come into her own. She found a passion for art and began taking classes at a local community center. Seeing her thrive and discover her own identity was incredibly inspiring and reaffirmed that we had made the right decision to break away from our parents' grip. Tom also found his own path, pursuing a career in social work. He said that our experiences had given him a deep empathy for others who were going through similar struggles, and he wanted to make a difference in their lives. I couldn't have been prouder of him. As for me, I continued to excel in my job and even got promoted to a managerial position. My confidence grew as I realized that I was capable of achieving my dreams without my parents' interference. I also started dating again and met someone who truly understood and supported me. It's been a long and difficult journey, but I finally feel like we're all in a good place. We've learned to set boundaries and prioritize our own well-being, and we're stronger for it. My parents' attempts to control us may have left scars, but we've proven that we can rise above it and create our own happiness. Update 2. It's been a few months since my last update, and I wanted to share some more good news. Life has continued to improve for all of us, and we've made some significant strides in our journey toward healing and independence. First, I want to talk about Jane. She recently had her first art exhibition at a local gallery, and it was a huge success. Seeing her work displayed and appreciated by so many people was an incredibly proud moment for all of us. She's gained a lot of confidence, and is even considering pursuing a degree in fine arts. Her transformation has been nothing short of amazing, and it's a testament to her strength and resilience. Tom has also been doing great. He recently got a job at a non-profit organization that helps at-risk youth, and he's thriving in his new role. His empathy and understanding have made him a valuable asset to the team, and he's already making a significant impact on the lives of the kids he works with. He's found his calling, and it's been wonderful to see him so passionate and fulfilled. As for me, I've continued to advance in my career and have even started taking on some mentorship roles at work. It feels good to be in a position where I can help others grow and succeed. On the personal front, my relationship has been going strong, and we're even talking about moving in together soon. It's been a whirlwind, but I'm excited about the future and the possibilities it holds. We've also made some progress in our relationships with extended family members. After hearing our side of the story and seeing the changes we've made in our lives, many of them have reached out to offer their support. It's been heartwarming to reconnect with family and build new, healthier relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. Of course, not everything has been smooth sailing. My parents have continued to try and meddle in our lives, though their efforts have become less effective over time. We've learned to set firm boundaries and stick to them, which has made a huge difference. They're still struggling to accept that they can no longer control us, but we've made it clear that we won't tolerate their toxic behavior. One unexpected development was when my parents tried to reach out to us through a mediator. They claimed they wanted to apologize and make amends, but we were skeptical. We agreed to a meeting, but only under the condition that it be in a neutral location and with a therapist present to mediate. The meeting was tense and emotional. My parents apologized for their behavior, but it felt more like an attempt to regain control than a genuine expression of remorse. They made promises to change, but we were cautious. We've heard those promises before, and we knew better than to take them at face value. We decided to give them a chance, but with strict boundaries in place. We agreed to limited contact and only in controlled environments, like therapy sessions. It's been a slow process, but we're cautiously optimistic that there might be a path to some form of reconciliation. It won't be easy, and it won't happen overnight, but we're open to the possibility of healing those relationships, as long as it's on our terms. In the meantime, we continue to focus on our own growth and happiness. We've learned that we can't change the past, but we can control our future. And we're determined to make that future bright and fulfilling, free from the shadows of our parents' control. Final update. I wanted to share one last update on our journey. It's been a year since my last post, and so much has happened since then. We've faced challenges, celebrated victories, and learned a lot about ourselves along the way. First, let me start with the most exciting news. Jane has been accepted into a prestigious art school. Her hard work and dedication have paid off, and she's over the moon about this new opportunity. We couldn't be prouder of her, and we're all excited to see where this next chapter takes her. She's truly found her passion, and it's been incredible to watch her grow and thrive. Tom has also continued to excel in his career. He's been promoted to a leadership position at the nonprofit organization, and he's been instrumental in developing new programs to support at-risk youth. His empathy and dedication have made a real difference in the lives of so many kids, and he's found a true sense of purpose in his work. As for me, I've recently been offered a major promotion at my job, and I've accepted it with excitement and a little bit of nervousness. It's a big step up, but I feel ready for the challenge. My relationship is also going strong, and we've decided to take the plunge and move in together. It's been a whirlwind of changes, but all positive ones, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds. Now, regarding our parents. After that initial attempt at reconciliation, things were rocky for a while. We maintained our boundaries and only agreed to meet in therapy sessions. Over time, there were some genuine moments of progress. They started to show signs of understanding the impact of their behavior and seemed to make efforts to change. It's been a slow process, and we're still cautious, but there's been some healing. We've managed to reach a tentative peace with them. It's not perfect, and it never will be, but it's a start. We've learned to accept that they may never fully understand the damage they caused, but we're also determined not to let that define us. We're moving forward with our lives, focusing on our own happiness and well-being. Through all of this, we've learned the importance of setting boundaries and prioritizing our mental health. We've also discovered the strength that comes from supporting each other and standing up for ourselves. It hasn't been easy, but we're stronger and more resilient because of it. To anyone out there dealing with entitled parents or toxic family members, know that you're not alone. It's okay to put yourself first and to create the life you deserve. It's a difficult journey, but it's worth it. And remember, it's never too late to start healing and building a better future.